Hi, everybody. I'm Brittany Lewis, a breaking news reporter here at Forbes. Joining me now is my Forbes colleague, staff writer John Hyatt. John, thanks so much for joining me.
Always good to be here, Brittany.
You are reporting on what you dubbed the Musktocracy, which is a group of ultra-hot wealthy individuals who owe either a fraction or all of their wealth to Elon Musk. It's thanks to him in large part. So when you're looking at these people overall, when you're evaluating their relationships with Elon Musk, overall, did you find the trend to be more mutually beneficial or more one-sided?
It's a mutually beneficial relationship that Musk has with these people. Obviously, none of these people are as wealthy as Elon, whose net worth of over $300 billion makes him the richest person in the world and the richest person of all time. But these people have built fortunes that many of us can only dream of in their own right. These people are billionaires. They are centimillionaires, meaning they're worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And this is really just scratching the surface as well, this assemblage of people we're looking at. Our idea behind this project was try to understand better the nature of Elon Musk's power and wealth that he's accrued. And in doing so, we really found that a collection of investors, early employees, and people who have attached themselves to Elon Musk and his orbit have benefited tremendously, and that in turn, these people help bolster the fortune, but also the political and social power of Elon Musk.
Let's talk about that a little bit more, because you're talking about the nature of Elon Musk's power. And if I'm someone who Elon Musk has in large part made a centimillionaire, possibly a billionaire, I mean, what does that relationship look like? Are all of these people yes men and women? Do they just blindly follow Elon Musk, blindly support him? What does that look like?
It's been well reported that Elon Musk does not take kindly to people who defy his authority. Even in the early years when he was starting his first company, Zip2, he clashed with a CEO that his investors brought in to try to help professionalize the company. So Elon is definitely a my way or the highway type of guy. And that has actually served him and his investors well, because he is a visionary. He is somebody who has built these multi-billion-dollar companies like Tesla, SpaceX, and now XAI, his artificial intelligence startup. But if you're signing up to be part of the Musk team, if you're investing in his companies, if you're going to work for his companies, you have to understand that there is a power dynamic, and that dynamic consists of you listening to what Elon says and doing what Elon wants and buying into his vision. It's not so much a shared vision as it is an Elon vision.
And if you buy into that vision, so to speak, if you follow those rules, it seems, according to your list, you can really financially benefit from that. When you're looking at this Musktocracy, it's really divided into two camps. But one group that is not on there is what could be described as Elon's ex-wives club. So talk about them a little bit. Did they financially benefit from their partnership with Elon?
So yes and no. If you look at his first wife, Justine Wilson, the two met as college students in Canada. They were married for over a decade. They had 5 kids together. When they divorced in 2010, she got about $20 million, which some might say, well, that's not bad. 20 million. I'd love to have 20 million. But you have to understand that one pales in comparison to Elon Musk's net worth. But 2, she'd asked for shares in SpaceX and Tesla. Not huge stakes of less than 10% of each, but she did not ultimately get those. She claims that she was pressured into signing a prenuptial agreement before they married that deprived her of those stakes. Had she gotten those stakes, she'd be worth about $20 billion today. So she'd be one of the richest people in the world. His second wife, the actress Tallulah Riley, they were married twice. They got divorced once and then remarried soon thereafter. She reportedly got about $20 million from their divorce agreement. So again, no equity in his companies and nowhere near the amount of wealth that many of Elon's investors and early employees have earned for themselves.
When you're thinking about 15 million, 20 million, I mean, that's just such a small sliver of 1% of Elon Musk's overall net worth. I want to talk about the first part of this Musktocracy, and it's people Musk made richer. And some of these people on this list are household names: Larry Ellison, Peter Thiel. What made them believe in Elon Musk and put money behind him? Was he already successful before they invested?
So these people knew about Elon Musk from the late 90s and early 2000s, before he was involved in Tesla or SpaceX. These are people who met Musk in Silicon Valley when he was starting his first company, Zip2, which ultimately sold for over $300 million. And Peter Thiel, in particular, knew Musk well from Musk's second company, financial startup called X.com, that ultimately merged with a startup that Peter Thiel had been working on, which became PayPal, which of course was later acquired by eBay and then spun off, and we all know PayPal today. So these are people who knew about Musk from the early days of his entrance into Silicon Valley, and who were well positioned to invest in his fledgling ventures like SpaceX and Tesla in the early 2000s.
And you're following a few of their fortunes. How much richer did Elon Musk make these men?
Well, look at somebody like Larry Ellison, who is a longtime Musk friend and who briefly served on Tesla's board. He owned, I believe it was 2 million shares of Tesla, which would have made him billions of dollars wealthier. Larry Ellison is one of the 10 wealthiest people in the world. His net worth is around $150, $160 billion, depending on Oracle's stock price on any given day. So for somebody like him, his Tesla investment made him billions of dollars richer. In the case of other early investors in Musk's companies, you're looking at wealth gains of hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars. So you can understand why these people feel indebted to Musk.
And I want to now move on to the next category, and this is how you describe it. People Musk made rich. A select few who hitched their wagon to Musk at the right time have made 9 and even 10-figure fortunes. Who are some of these individuals who put their trust in Elon at the beginning and it ultimately worked out for them really in spades?
I think the quintessential example here is a guy named Antonio Gracias. He's a private equity and venture capital investor who met Musk over 25 years ago now. He was an early investor in all of Musk's ventures. He was early to SpaceX. He was early to Tesla. He was early to Solar City, the renewables company that Tesla later bought. He's invested in XAI, the Boring Company. But more than just backing these companies, he's been a de facto right-hand man for Elon as an operator. Antonio Gracias is a very skilled business executive whom Musk has deployed at Tesla, at SpaceX, to help make these companies run and be efficient. And we peg Antonio Gracias's net worth at $2.2 billion, almost entirely from his investments that he and his investment firm Valor Equity have made in Musk companies, as well as his personal stake in Tesla, which he's earned through his board seat. He's been a longtime board member at Tesla, and those annual grants of stock are now worth several $100 million. And the reason that Antonio Gracias is such a great example of what the Musktocracy looks like is that now he's serving in Doge. He's been deployed to the Social Security Administration, rummaging around there, looking for fraud, and now parroting some of the conspiracy theories about Democrats deliberately importing illegal immigrants to remake America's voting system. And so with somebody like Gracias, you see the trajectory of meeting Musk, gaining wealth through Musk, gaining power through Musk, and ultimately falling in line behind Musk.
And that's a really perfect story of what we talked about earlier, where you have to understand this dynamic. Elon's in charge, you better fall in line, and then you can benefit greatly from that. How did these other early investors, these other people who have known Elon Musk for decades and got rich because of him, how did these other people get into his orbit?
Yeah, so some of the people were employees, early employees of SpaceX and Tesla, and they're kind of their own category because unlike somebody like Antonio Gracias or Elon's brother Kimbal, who we'll talk about, these are folks who are talented engineers, talented business operators and executives who learned of SpaceX, learned of Tesla early and joined and were able to obtain equity in these companies in their infancy. And now these are, huge multi-billion-dollar companies, and even small share grants for these people are now worth tens, hundreds of millions of dollars. And of course, these people, in some sense, they really earned their wealth. They served Elon Musk around the clock, helping him realize his gigantic visions to build the first major private U.S. rocket maker, to create the first mass commercially available electric vehicle in the United States. And so these people, they've obtained massive wealth and they've helped Elon grow his wealth and thus his power, but they're not necessarily out there parroting the crazy conspiracy theories that we see Elon Musk propagating on X. These are people who are low-key, they're off the radar, they really don't want to be publicly associated with Musk and his increasingly unpopular public persona. They just want to quietly go about their business. A lot of them have, stepped down from, early Tesla engineers who really helped make Teslas, brought them to market, made the company what it is today. A lot of them have stepped down and quietly offloaded a lot of their shares. One example is the former CFO, a guy named Zachary Kirkhorn. He really came up through Tesla. He joined in 2010 as an analyst. He became CFO. He dealt with a lot of Musk's shenanigans. When Musk and Tesla bought a bunch of Bitcoin in 2021, Musk gave Zachary Kirkhorn, a sort of mild-manner CFO type, the title of Chief of Coin, a reference to crypto, but also to Game of Thrones. So, Musk always wanting to be funny. All of a sudden, you have Tesla SEC filings referring to Mr. Kirkhorn as the Chief of Coin. He stepped down 2 years ago and he immediately sold all of his Tesla shares. He cashed out to the tune of over $400 million.
Wow, so I guess the Chief of Coin didn't find it as hilarious as Elon did. But I want to talk about someone else on this list, Kathleen Wilson Thompson, former Walgreens HR executive. You report that she has Musk's recklessness to thank for her fortune, and that is to the tune of $230 million. Talk to us about her.
Yeah, so she's another low-key businesswoman, had a successful career in human resources, working at companies like Kellogg, and she joined Tesla's board in 2018, and that appointment was the result of Musk settling with the Securities and Exchange Commission with regard to him falsely tweeting that he had funding secured to take Tesla private. That tweet drove up Tesla's stock price, and it was later revealed to be false. He did not have funding secured to take Tesla private. Tesla has not been a private company since it IPO'd, and he ultimately settled with the SEC, and he lost his position as chair of the board. And as part of that settlement, he had to bring on another independent board director, which is how Kathleen joined. And it's been a tremendous windfall for her. She has received annual share grants that are, have enabled her to build a small fortune. So credit to her.
I want to now turn and talk about someone who Elon Musk has known the longest on this list, and that is his younger brother, Kimble Musk. Talk to us about him, because you're reporting that following Elon's lead has been lucrative for Kimble Musk. Just how lucrative?
So we peg Kimball's current net worth at about $900 million. He would have been a billionaire a few months ago when Tesla's stock price was at its all-time high. And, Kimble Musk is exceptionally close to his brother. Elon has relied on Kimball not just for operational support, helping to build his first company and sort of being with him in the trenches at building Tesla and SpaceX, but really as sort of an emotional crutch as well. The two brothers are very close, according to the reporting. Kimball is one of the most quoted people in Walter Isaacson's biography of Elon Musk. And so on the one hand, you could say that, Kimball, whose fortune consists almost exclusively of Tesla and SpaceX stock, as well as estimated proceeds that he's gained from selling Tesla and SpaceX stock. You could say that in one sense, Kimball's earned that fortune because he's stuck by his brother. He's catered to his brother's whims. He's taken the verbal put downs and God knows what. We know the two have physically fought at times, according to Isaacson's book. But on the other hand, one might say, well, why does Elon's brother have board seats on Tesla and SpaceX? What has he really done to earn those? And so that kind of invites questions around corporate governance and possible allegations of nepotism in the Musk family, but it also sort of helps you understand the way Musk operates. He wants people he can trust. He wants people who are loyal to him. And who's going to be more loyal to Elon than his own brother?
That is a good question. What has Kimble Musk done to earn these seats? And Elon Musk has been touted as a genius. When you look at super successful companies like SpaceX, Tesla's going through a bit of a rough time right now, but Tesla could be known as a very successful company as well. What about Kimble Musk? Is he as successful as a businessman, an entrepreneur? What does that look like?
So the two brothers, so Elon Musk's first company, Zip2, which he founded in the 90s, sold for over $300 million. So Kimball was actually a co-founder of that business. And so the two brothers made a roughly equal amount of money when they sold that. However, even from the early days, it was clear that Elon was the business visionary and that Kimball was the more laid-back personality. This was a guy who loves to cook. He's a free spirit. He loves to have deep conversations with friends and family, whereas Elon is the hard-charging business executive, entrepreneur, visionary. And so in some ways, the two brothers complement each other. But after they sold their first company, Elon started to create X.com, the company that later merged with another firm into PayPal, and which was a huge success. While Elon was building X.com, Kimball went his own way. He went to culinary school in New York to become a trained chef. After Elon sold his company, X.com, and cashed out through the PayPal deal, Kimball was beginning to open his own restaurant, The Kitchen, in Boulder, Colorado. But ultimately, Elon did bring Kimball back into the fold. Kimball was very involved in the founding of SpaceX. He was not an operator or engineer or even had official responsibilities, but he was around. He was hanging out with Elon. He was cooking meals for the early team of SpaceX engineers. And so he was a presence. Similarly with Tesla, he was an early investor in Tesla, Kimball was, when the company was struggling to stay afloat during the 2007-2008 financial crisis. Kimball liquidated his remaining savings. He had $375,000 of Apple stock. He sold that and put it into Tesla at Elon's request. And so risky move, and arguably he was coerced by his brother into doing that, but it has turned out to be successful. Kimball has made a fortune through Tesla, and he has been a Tesla board member for nearly 20 years now, which has, again, minted him an enormous fortune of Tesla shares. He's sold over $250 million of Tesla shares. He still holds a stake in the automaker worth over $350 million. But while Elon was successfully building Tesla, building SpaceX simultaneously during the 2000s, Kimball was building his restaurant business, The Kitchen, which has actually won really rave reviews. As a Colorado native myself, I've been to The Kitchen in Boulder. It is a fantastic restaurant. I do highly recommend it. But Kimball was drawn back into the mold of Elon. He was recruited to be an investor and CEO of this tech company called Medium. It was trying to be the social a social application for web browsing. This was in the heyday of early social media companies like MySpace. Facebook had just been launched, right? This was like early 2000s. Kimbal was CEO. I spoke with people who worked under Kimbal while he was CEO. They said he was not an effective or even particularly focused CEO. He was often working on the kitchen. He was often traveling to SpaceX launches. He was not particularly involved. He didn't understand the engineering or the technical aspects of this startup. And ultimately, he left as CEO of this company after about 4 years. The company was actually acquired by Walmart, which looks good on paper, but I spoke to people familiar with the deal, and it was really more of a fire sale situation. Walmart was essentially acquiring a team of engineers who they thought were very talented, and they folded them into Walmart, but the product was ultimately not really worth anything. And so this was Kimbal's sort of one example of him being a CEO of a tech company, and unlike his brother, it didn't really pan out.
I would really implore everyone to read your piece on Kimble Musk because it paints this really interesting picture of a real older brother, younger brother dynamic with the richest man in the world and his younger brother who is nearly a billionaire. But Elon Musk, we've talked about his leadership style. That has really come up, especially with him in the Trump administration. He's unpredictable, he's demanding, he's rash. Is Kimble Musk like that at all? What's his management style?
My sense is he's not like that at all. He is a laid-back personality. He is a free spirit. He really likes to cook food and gather people around the dinner table and have conversations about the meaning of life and things like that. So in many ways, personality-wise, he's very, very different from his brother, which is probably good in the sense that Elon needs those type of people in his life. However, one might also say, as Elon has sort of descended further and further into the sort of craziness of X and the sort of alt-right ecosystem that Elon has embraced, you would think that, okay, maybe Kimbal is in a position to sort of help Elon remove himself from that atmosphere, to help him, you know, sort of see the world in a more neutral and objective light. But sources I spoke to said that's not Kimbal. He's not the type to confront Elon. He's the type to just sort of go with the flow. One person described Kimbal as Switzerland. So the ultimate neutral party who, if there's contretemps, if there's arguments, he's not going to put himself in the middle of it. And so it's hard to imagine that he's trying to exert his will on Elon behind the scenes.
Sounds really like a younger sibling.
Okay.
But as Elon Musk, as you're saying, has descended more into MAGA as well, more into the Trump administration, a senior advisor for President Trump, also the face of Doge, we talked last week how Elon Musk's not a fan of tariffs, how they're hurting his bottom line. What has Kimble Musk said about this? Because we've seen him be even more outspoken than Elon Musk, has been tweeting out things about President Trump, calling him the most high-tax American president in generations. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I think that in some ways, Kimbal is, one, probably speaking his mind. Kimbal has global trade and a U.S.-led global order to thank for his own fortune. But two, I think he's sort of speaking on Elon's behalf in a way, right? We know that Elon is anti-tariff. He's been hinting at his own anti-tariff viewpoint through X and through comments he's made. But Kimbal is going all out. He's tweeted over and over again over the last couple of weeks about the foolishness of Trump's tariff regime. And so, you know, one has to consider whether he is speaking on Elon's behalf? Is he speaking on his own behalf? It's probably a bit of both.
That was going to be my next question, because from your reporting, it really seems like Kimbal is the ultimate Elon Musk foot soldier. So would that be okayed by Elon, do you think, those tweets? Would he do anything, talk that directly about Elon's, about the president that Elon is serving so directly without Elon's approval based on what you have reported?
I can't say for certain, but I would be shocked if he didn't get approval from Elon before making those tweets, because those tweets sparked a flurry of news stories. saying Kimble Musk voices opposition to tariffs, and certainly he knew that those comments were going to draw the attention of the press. So for the sibling of somebody in such a position of power and prominence, it's hard to imagine that they would not have at least coordinated a little bit before making those pronouncements.
Well, John Hyatt, per usual, I appreciate our conversations. I appreciate your reporting. Till next time.
Thanks, Brittany.